is the Investor Connect podcast program. This is Hall T. Martin. I'm the host of the show, in which we interview angel investors, venture capital, private equity, family offices, and many other investor groups for startups and growth companies. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you for joining us. Well, hello, my name is Hall T. Martin. I run a company called 10 Capital. I'm the CEO and founder. It was originally called Texas Entrepreneurs Network, and we started in 2009. I had worked for a company that went public in 95, and I started doing angel investing. I started finding out how much fun that really was. Ended up starting 3 angel networks. I started the Central Texas Angel Network in 2006, the Baylor Angel Network in 2007, and the Wilco Angel Network in 2008, and had so much fun with it, I decided to retire and start what was called Texas Entrepreneurs Network in 2009. And at heart, we were helping startups and investors connect for funding is what we were doing. Because I saw the challenge that most startups had was just getting access to the investor. Once they had that, they did well. Although they didn't always do very well on the follow-up portion, but they knew how to pitch and they knew all those things. So we started to do this around the state of Texas. We're based in Austin, and so we would do a lot in Austin, Dallas, and Houston, but decided to go across the state of Texas. I had this thesis at the time that for every 10,000 people in a city, one of them was an angel investor. So when we went to Lubbock, for example, there were 100,000 people at that time, and there were 10 investors in our room. And then we also did this in El Paso and went down to the Valley, went up to San Antonio, went over to Houston, went back to Austin, and found that that was a lot of fun, although it was a big state and we were driving everywhere. So we decided to move most of that online. Crowdfunding was starting to come into its own, and I found that the crowdfunding tools where you display it online and you do diligence online and use email to communicate with each other was a very effective tool. When I started CTAM, we did everything downtown. We met at the Headliners Club, top of the Chase Bank on 6th in Colorado, and we would do everything there. Screening, deal flow, meetings, everything, diligence, all was done downtown. And some of that, is just better to do online because you have your tools and so forth, which is how they do it today. But fast forward to 2009, I kicked off and did Texas Entrepreneurs Network and had a lot of fun with that. Between 2010 to 15, I needed more investors for our Texas deals. So I started going one weekend to the Bay Area to find venture capital and the other weekend to New York City, because that's where they all were back then. Today they're everywhere, but back then they were siloed in those 2 cities primarily. Austin had 3 venture capitalists, but you quickly went through those and we just needed more. So I built a big network of angels in Texas, and then I built a network of venture capitalists in the U.S. And then in 2016, a whole bunch of family offices joined our network because they wanted to do deals direct. They didn't want to pay the fees and the carry and all that went with the venture capital funds. And in some cases that worked out, and in other cases it didn't. And then in 2017, I started getting calls from outside of Texas saying, I want access to your investor network, but I'm not in Texas. How do we do this? So I said, okay, well, let's expand nationally with it. So we rebranded Texas Entrepreneurs Network into 10 Capital, TEN, and that's what 10 stands for, and started doing our program around the country. And at heart, it's an investor relations program. We're reaching out to our network with the deal online, seeing who's interested, and then sending updates about how the deal is going, and then inviting people to pitch first in an online event, and then next in an in-person event. And so we kicked off our roadshow series, and up into the pandemic, we actually had 31 in-person pitch events going on around the country. Of course, we were in Austin 6 times a year, and Dallas 6 times a year, and New York 3 times a year. And so we got around, and it was just basic pitch sessions is what they were. But they were very effective because we got to meet a lot of people and meet in person in different locations. So it worked out really well and had a great deal of funding come out of that. Pandemic hit us and all of that went online. And so now we became even more digital because now everything is online. And we did that for about 3 years. And in the early part of 2024, we decided to go back in person for the roadshow events. We kicked back off, and in 24, we went to Austin, Dallas, Houston, went over to the Bay Area twice, went to LA, Orange County, went up to Seattle, over to Chicago, did New York, did Washington, D.C., and just had a lot of fun with it. And we continue to do the event roadshow around the country. It's a day-long event full of pitches, content, panels, fireside chats, etc. So it's a great way to get out and meet people in person, because what we found was online is that it's a great way to open the dialogue, but it's not a great way to close. It's very hard to close on Zoom. Anything more than a 25 or 50K check is difficult. And so we then started what we call the dinner event. And we found that those who had a big list of interested investors, the best way to do that is to go back to those cities where you were and actually pitch in a dinner event, or and it could be a lunch or coffee or what other setting. But the point is you have to go back in person to pick up the checks is what you have to think about. And so that's was what we were doing using our events to do. Online was opening the dialogue, the in-person was progressing it, and the dinner event was closing it. And so that's how we got into our current program that we're running today. And so the idea behind the live event is we had lots of partners, and it's a little bit of a Big Ten approach. We invite our partners, mostly angel groups and syndicate funds, to come out and bring their investors with them. And we would give them pitch slots for their deals that they funded so they could show that off to the rest of the world. And then we would have some of the pitch slots ready for ours. And we would have multiple sections. We'd start late in the morning, have a lunch, do a group in the early afternoon, have a break, and then do another group in the late afternoon. And we would give a different partner pitch slots at each one of those. And we get other groups coming out to be a part of the program. And that was a lot of fun to meet with other groups as well. And so the other thing we do is we also form capital for the startup ecosystem. And by that, I mean we help angel groups find members. We help VC funds find limited partners, mostly family offices. And we help high net worth start family offices because they invest in emerging managers, which are some of the best ways to get funding, turning into returns, because you're investing in new managers who, in most cases, were recent operators. So they still knew the current technology. They knew where all the good deals were, and they were able to, deploy capital very efficiently for that reason. And then we work with angel groups. The last thing an angel group wants is more deal flow. What they really want are members who are going to come in and invest in the deals that they have. And we see a lot of individual angels out there that would do better in a group than they would by themselves. And family offices sometimes do better in angel groups as well. So we always connect those individual angels with those angel groups that we work with. And the venture capital funds, they're always very excited about getting money or getting relationships with family offices so later they can raise funding from them. And so I remember several years ago, I went to New Mexico to help do a restart of the New Mexico Angel Network. And after we did that, I asked, well, what do you guys do for the family office? Well, we don't do anything for them. Well, how many do you think there are? Well, maybe 30. And so we went through the process of forming a team to go out and run a family office panel in New Mexico. So I went across the state and I said, who wants to help me put this together? And 4 BKs and an angel group leader raised their hand and said, I want to help you put that together. So we sat down and we collectively put our list together of people we knew were family offices. We went and talked to them, see what content would be of interest. And then we ran a half-day event with them and had about 65 people come out. Half of those guys were family offices. The other half were people that were presenting or helping us with it. And long story short, we've been doing that every 6 months since we've been running a family office panel. And we've been in Albuquerque, we've been in Santa Fe, we've been on the ski slopes of Taos, and we've been in other places as well. And found this great way to do this is, get a group of venture capital guys together who want to help you find and meet family offices so they can raise funding from them. And so that's what we're doing now. And so we've taken that model and we've actually expanded it wherever we do a roadshow, Austin, Dallas, Bay Area, New York, DC. We're also doing a family office dinner or family office panel to bring the family offices together with the venture capital people that we're working with. So that's our program for actually helping foster the entrepreneur ecosystem, is by helping other groups find what they need through our network. We're helping our startups find access to investors. So that's our program and what we do. And that's what makes it unique. All of our online events are now hybrid. You can always zoom in and see what's going on. I find that that's critical now. It used to be a nice to have, but now it's really a must have, because you have a lot of people that are just not in the area, and those who are in the area are not able to get down there. And then if you do it online, you're able to record it and share it later as well. So typically the people that come to these events are angels, individual high net worths, also family offices, and some VC funds are coming out as well. So you get a good mixture across the board people that are looking at seeing what new deals are there. And so typically our companies are a little bit later stage. They're seed plus, Series A. We don't do a lot of pre-seed. Two guys with an idea is usually not a good fit here, but there's a lot of good groups out there that are doing great things and they just need access to more investors, and we're facilitating that. And so when people come to us, we get them ready with a pitch deck and get their data room together and make sure the term sheets are in order. And we're helping them get out in front of more investors with our pitch sessions that we do. And so we've had a lot of success with it. We've had some people in the program for 2.5 years raising funding because they did their seed, then their seed plus, and then their seed plus plus, and then their Series A, and then their Series A plus, and they just went from one raise to the next. Other groups come in, they raise a round, and then after average time of the program is 4, 5, 6 months, so they get what they need and they step out and they go back to work on the business itself. We also find that it's a great way for our other partner groups, angel groups, and syndicate funds and the like to come out and meet each other. It's a good way to connect in the room and catch up on what's going on. And so it's a great way to foster communication in the ecosystem. Brad Feld once talked about the value of an ecosystem is not its size or its girth, but its interactivity. The interconnections you can make are what really makes it happen, and we're there helping with more of those interconnections. We also have found that more and more sponsors are signing up to join our program because they want to come in and access early stage companies, PEO firms, fractional CFO, IP attorneys. These people are looking to get into the early stage world, and that's a great place for us to bring in sponsors to give either content or give them access to them through the networking of the event as well. So one way people can get more exposure, we've had some groups come in and want to get in front of investors and startups across the country. We're an ideal solution for that because we have roadshows in Austin, Dallas, Houston, LA, Orange County, Bay Area, Seattle, Chicago, New York, DC, Miami. So we span the country in a good way for sure. And so what we next want to do is look at 2025. We're going to actually choose 6 cities: Austin, Dallas, Bay Area, LA, New York, DC, and then we're going to do it twice. We're going to go there once in the fall and then once in the spring. And so it's a great way to get back and meet people that you saw before, because in some cases you see some of the same investors you saw before and you're able to give an update about how you're doing, and the startup is able to raise funding because now they see that traction is underway and people are making progress with their deal. So looking forward to working with you out there. If you're interested in joining 10 Capital, please reach out to us on 10capital.group, GROUP. There's no .com on that. Those were all taken up years ago. And we'll let you know how you can plug into our upcoming roadshow event series. We're always having events. We have about 4 plus 3 plus 4, probably about 10 to 11 events per month that are running every month of the year. So it's a great way to get involved. We found the event process was great because it provided a more structured approach to fundraising. Some groups just give you a name and say, good luck with that. But we have events where you meet these people and then we can invite them back to meet with you in the event. You can sit them down for a dinner event. And so it's a good structured process for doing that. So glad to talk to you about your startup and see if it's a fit for us, and glad to talk to you about your investing thesis and where you might go to find the deals that you're looking for, as we know a lot of groups that are out there. And then we're also glad to work with you on how we might expand to new cities. Right now we're focusing on the core 6, but we are looking to go to the other cities, the Phoenixes, the Nashvilles, and the Kansas Cities and so forth, because there's great startups there as well. It's just a big country, and we just have to get out there and get around to everybody at some point. So with that, I want to thank you for taking time to talk with us today. Please contact us at 10capital.group. And with that, looking forward to seeing you at our next roadshow. Thank you.
Investor Connect helps investors interested in startup funding. In this podcast series, experienced investors share their experience and advice. You can learn more at investorconnect.org. Paul T. Martin is the director of Investor Connect, which is a 501c3 nonprofit dedicated to the education of investors for early stage funding. All opinions expressed by Hall and podcast guests are solely their own opinions and do not reflect the opinion of Investor Connect. This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be relied upon as a basis for investment decisions.